Is art today still, in the 21st century, a weapon in the fight for democracy and political freedom? You say art is more effective than ever in the fight for democracy.
We are now living in a new renaissance for arts as a tool to empower activism, and especially to talk about democracy and sometimes the lost values of democracy, because art is the most powerful tool that we have to engage people, to show them why they should care about a certain aspect of the problems that we see. As much as we want to bombard people with data, with different reports, with beautiful journalistic works, people need more simple forms of how this data and how this truths about the world that we live in are shown to them.
I understand.
Art has this.
Very often they have some kind of misunderstanding about art. I think we only need to defend the life and defend the freedom. Art is not something we need to defend. If the art doesn't function as defending our life, it's not art. I think only by defending the values such as human rights, freedom of speech, and democracy, then you become art. Such people are actually doing more powerful work than most art world.
Right.
Like Edward Snowden,
Yep.
like Chelsea Manning. Those people are doing fantastic works which protect democracy, freedom of speech, more than whole art community together.
I do agree that art and culture immense role, not only in the history of humanity, but also for the democratic, very inclusive of ideas. I would like to say that heritage protection is one of the most democratic aspects that humanity has, linking human rights, diversity, and culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the protection of cultural heritage and cultural diversity nowadays, I would say the destruction of heritage has always been accompanied by mass atrocities.
I think very importantly, not just a human right, but a building block for community and society itself. And that's why actually that statement, art is life, was absolutely the right statement to make. Very, very appropriately, given that we're in Athens, you know, the birthplace of a certain form of direct democracy. When democracy is invented here, music and art is absolutely central to that experiment. Art has just been thought to be such a central part of existence, to eat, to drink, to breathe, to make art. And so I agree with Weiwei, the idea that it's used just as a weapon of protest. You can weaponize art, but it shouldn't be used just as a weapon. It should just be used as a central part of society and, you know, the delight of existence.
Even now, art is at the forefront of the fight for democracy. And it can inspire action, which is extremely important. And this is something that I and my organization work on, is how to make this bridge between the arts and the people. And I think that we are living, again, I'm saying this in a very special time, that artists know how powerful their tool set is, and they can use it for the greater good of society.
When I start making so-called art, very often I don't think about art.
Okay.
And I never really think of myself as artist, but rather a human being.
Okay.
So I think it's a wrong concept to separate art from everyday daily life and everyday people.
Right.
That would make art some kind of elite, but rather it's a wrong concept. Art is the soul of life. And because we art and we have a freedom. If we don't have art, we don't have a freedom. Democracy is really modern concept. And it's not a great concept to really to make a healthy art. Rather, a lot of time it's a poisoning art. And in many cases, many so-called democratic society, the art comes out is very, it cannot even be called art. It's just some kind of commercial decoration, and it illustrates very shallow ideas.
Okay, but when there is no democracy, as you well know, Weiwei, and the artist is prevented from making art, then we really do feel the absence of art. So art is not just life, it is an expression.
No,
and when
I don't think so. I think the great art come from, even in Soviet Union, in China, in most difficult time, in time have slaves, or even, we have a great art come from history. There's nothing about democracy.
I wouldn't want to say that we don't need to protect art. We absolutely need to protect art. And again, what you see in dysfunctioning societies right through time, and this goes back to evidence from the Bible, is that we hear that art is destroyed as collateral damage when the morality and spirit of a community needs to be destroyed. One of the first things that people have done through time is to destroy art, and that's something that we still see around us today. So I think we absolutely need to protect art, because the very fact that it's a target shows it that this is where there's a repository of shared experience and cultural identity and cultural memory and ideas.
Well, I think that artists are activists. I don't 100% share Ai Weiwei's view that that art is impartial and living is creating art, and vice versa. I think that art stands for values. So it's important what values the artists stand for.
To widen it out, that it's not just somebody doing a watercolour, it's our communication of our imagination of the world that we live in. And that is why it's has the most extraordinary potential for harmony.
If artist is not an activist, it's a dead artist.